when the media asked me, how come you've not been cast in a Farhan Akhtar or a Zoya Akhtar film? So I have said, it'll be easier for me to be cast in a Steven Spielberg film rather than, and can you imagine, it came true. It was.
For all film-related interviews, reviews and content, please like and subscribe to Puja Talwar. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram.
Ma'am, so lovely to catch up with you. And I know you are in between continents, living off your suitcase. But this is the first time I've seen you in a character like that. आप मुझे वो पहले बताओ, what was that like? It's an adaptation of a video game.
Yeah, that was the most interesting thing. Hey, I didn't even know that this role was coming my way, because my agent was in talks with the producer and did not let me know about it, just in case it didn't work out and then I'd be really disappointed. So he was in talks on the side, and suddenly one day he calls me up and he says, you've been confirmed for Halo. I didn't even know what the game was. I knew nothing, and it's a Steven Spielberg production. It seemed almost unreal, because I have joked so many times, because when the media asked me, how come you've not been cast in a Farhan Akhtar or a Zoya Akhtar film? So I have said, it'll be easier for me to be cast in a Steven Spielberg film rather than, and can you imagine, it came true. It was quite unbelievable, really. And then when I spoke on a FaceTime call, I spoke with Otto Bathurst, the director, the showrunner, and also the director of the first 3 episodes, whose work I had seen and I really liked, because I had seen Black Mirror, I had seen Peaky Blinder, and I really liked his work. And so he started speaking to me, and that was when I had to bring all my acting talents to the fore, because I had to pretend as if I was understanding everything he was saying. But I absolutely was not, since I didn't know the game at all. And so I tried to look very wise, and I said, yes, 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 and gave him the impression that I was understanding every word, because it was all about aliens and Spartans and, a war with the Spartans to save the humans, and nothing. I understood absolutely nothing. After which, but very quickly he said, we'll be having a boot camp and then you will get to know things better. And so we went off to Budapest to a boot camp where we had lots of readings and lots of meetings with the cast and with the crew and everything like that. The whole thing was very exciting. Also, there are very clear rules and norms of behavior, because it is such an international cast. So there mustn't be any cultural misunderstandings that this is kosher for you, but it's not for the other. We had people from Korea, we had people from America, we had English, all sat down in a lecture hall, and we were given like that. And then one got into, and then when you went into the costume and all that, suddenly I found myself finding this character, Admiral Margaret, and the most exciting thing for me was this was colorblind casting, and I was not made to speak with an accent. I was not made to change my hair or the color of my eyes or anything at all. And Pooja, this is what Asians have been asking for the last 20 years, that why should all the best parts go only to the white Caucasians? If Laurence Olivier can play Othello, then why can't he also be a Chinese, or why can't he be an Indian? Absolutely. And why should we be defined only by our ethnicity? Halo is a prime example of that coming true in its entirety, because like I said, it's such a multinational cast and nothing was being made of their cast. And so that was really, really very nice. Margaret is basically a person who's authoritative, who plays by the rules, and she is used to giving orders. And she gets almost seduced by this scientist played by Natasha, who convinces her to break the rules because it's for the sake of humanity. And so Margaret feels very conflicted by that, but she carries on. And I think that's the centrality of a character, which I found the most interesting. Because if you play any character on one level, then it's not so interesting. If there's a subtext that you're playing, then that is always more interesting. So that's how it happened. Yeah.
So also, I mean, you're no stranger to international productions at all. And this, for the longest time, actors like you have been speaking about inclusivity. You've also been speaking about the fact that an artist is free to play anything. Let's break away from the stereotypes. Going forward, do you think the door is now ajar and finally we are breaking through those shackles which earlier bound us?
I think that's an optimistic way of looking at it. We have one foot in the door, definitely. But it's a long time coming. And so concerted efforts will need to be made continuously. What is happening, Pooja, is I think as the world shrinks and becomes a global village, what is making more and more economic sense is to take also bring on board the audiences, the fans of these actors. So if there's a Korean actor and has a huge fan following, then you add that to the pool of fan following that you have, right? And I mean, India produces the largest number of films in the whole world. We produce twice the number of films that Hollywood does. We have a huge, huge audience. So it also makes sense. Apart from it being morally right, I think it's also economically right. And that, I think, is sort of finally making a dent. And people in the industry are realizing that. So I hope we mustn't forget that it was such a struggle for African Americans to be represented on the scene, because there was so much a part of that fabric, and yet it took them so long. So, like I said, we are in place, but it'll require a lot. It'll require a lot of success, actually, more than anything else.
Absolutely.
If there's success, then yes, it will happen.
अब ये मुझे बताओ, I know Zoya Akhtar, Farhan Akhtar can now wait. You are in the Steven Spielberg camp. Now, what was it like working with him? What was it like working with him?
You see, he is but firstly, you must understand that Spielberg is just the producer. He's not the director.
Yes.
He's not the director. The director was Otto and then Jonathan, and they had completely different styles. And but I mean, there is such a great professionalism to the work that they do, which, by the way, now in India is also becoming more and more common. When I first started working with Shirley MacLaine in Madame Suzatska in '89 or something, I was the only Asian there. Now there are so many people, and their working styles are so in a system that it plays almost on autopilot, which is now also happening in India. In India also, we're taking that. But I think as Indians, the one thing that we have is that we're very resourceful, and we are a jugaad nation.
Jugaad
country. So if things go wrong, then we are perfectly capable of making them work. Wahan agar unka system fail ho jata, then that's the end of the world. So they learn from us and we learn from them. So it's a win-win situation for both.
Ma'am, another thing, you were, back in the 80s, you were the face of aajkal jo sab log words use kar rahe hain na, female-driven cinema, feminist narratives. You've been there, done that, absolutely. Also, when they talk about ageism, there are actors like you. In the West, you have Meryl Streep, who've spoken about it, but you still have roles being written for you. What would you want to say on that?
I think when one talks about it, one just creates an awareness, because half of the time, people do things because they're not aware. So when you start creating an awareness, a dialogue starts, which is good. But finally, if it works, then that's what it is. Let's not have any illusions about why a producer makes a film. A producer does not make a film to change society. a producer gets involved in a speculative business like anybody else, and her or his interest is to make money. Now, if the audiences were to show that they were interested only in feminist films, that's what the producer will do. But I think there is a danger in that, because if we are constantly only catering to the lowest common denominator, then how do we push the bar? How do we change things? So finally, I think ये जो चाबी है ना, ये OTT platforms के हाथ में है, because they should really be making a bouquet full of content. So one is really mainstream, you make your money from there, and then you have this huge resource to create your own stars. Hey, at the moment, India has about like 5 or 6 big stars. That cannot be enough for the 1,000 films that are made in a year. So you need to create your stars, and you can create your stars by telling different stories and getting different faces. And so this we should look upon as an opportunity, certainly. But if you see at the moment, I am really getting a rich variety of roles, which was unthinkable. It was unthinkable. It was a problem where the minute you crossed 30, there was no question of a woman having a decent role. And now 30 is now considered an age when the woman really starts maturing. And so you have a lot of women who are now getting really good parts. So I think that has already happened. That there is now, I think the success of Gangubai is going to be a big thing, because then you have a big star like Alia Bhatt working in what is definitely a woman-centered role, and then it becomes a success. That I think, because you cannot have only one narrative, and especially for a country like India, which is so diverse, there have to be stories about different people, different communities. The idea of this alternative reality hero and heroine has really been thrown into the dustbin. Even within the mainstream cinema, there is definitely a concerted effort to make them more real people than those living in an alternative reality. And so I think this is a great time.
And lastly, मुझे ये बता, what was it like playing Admiral Margaret? She's being described as the badass. आपको तो मैंने बहुत किरदारों में देखा है, but what was it like playing her? I mean, was it exciting? Did she push your buttons? What was it like?
I was so happy to be playing her. I'm so tired of playing good women. It was lovely to be authoritative and to have everybody listen to you. It was quite delightful. And I saw that there is a very strong authoritative core in me, which I keep hidden. And Margaret helped me bring it out. And so I was very thrilled for the opportunity.
It was lovely. If your inner Margaret comes out, then Javed Saab and the rest, beware now. So we had...
He will tell you he was the only one who never got fooled.
Awesome, ma'am. This is just so fabulous. I'm happy for you. Lastly, मुझे ये बताओ, अगर आपको 20 साल पहले किसी ने बोला होगा एलियंस वाली पिक्चरों में आप काम करोगे, आप क्या बोलते हो उनको?
मैं बोलती हूँ that's a very alien concept.
But ma'am, so very happy, and as always, so very proud of whatever you do. I mean, as I say, you took the path, and you've always been a reference for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Take care. Enjoy the premiere. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.